On this episode, you're going to get to meet my amazing bandmate, Andi McCormack from I5. So we're going to go through part one because this is what we're talking about. And it's such a good conversation. There's going to be a part two. So tune in because it is a whirlwind of fun. Reinvention's not cute. Whoever said that is crazy. They're nuts. Okay. Because it's chaotic, it's uncomfortable, but it also is kind of liberating, if I'm being honest, which that's what we do here. I'm Christina Rumbly. I'm a serial reinventionist, and I have done everything you can imagine, all the way from being a pop star to becoming a professional songwriter. From that, business entrepreneur, leading 250 employees, then selling my companies to where I am today. This is Reinventing Rumbly, and that's what we do here. But we're inappropriately appropriate, of course. So now it's time to reinvent. So let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to Reinventing Rumbly. And I'm your host, Christina Rumbly, inappropriately appropriate as always, of course. And here's the exciting part. Today, we are going to be talking to Andi McCormack. She was one of the girls in the pop group that I was in, and she was from Liverpool, England. We're going to get into it. And we're going to talk about what it was like, the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun, the crazies. There could be some stories that we may have to cut out. I mean, I'm just saying so we don't get sued. But let me tell you something about this lady before she pops on here. She is the quintessential yin to my yang when we were in this group. She kept me sane. She kept me out of jail. There's a story there. She made sure that I did not murder everybody in the group because she was the sane one. She was calm, cool, and collected, but also crazy and fun and cheeky and amazing. She kept the spirit and the life of the party going at all times. Andi was and continues to be, like I say, my ride or die. She is one of my closest friends, my bosom buddy, and she has gone on to create such a wonderful life for her and her two daughters and her amazing husband. And I'm just thrilled to have her get to share with us a little bit about what she's doing now, what we did together, and how we met up in this crazy world in the music industry, and the do's and the don'ts, right? How we got where we were and what would we have done differently? But what's really exciting is she's not only an incredible performer, entertainer, she's a great businesswoman too. She owns her own dance studio and she's had it for years and she's expanding on it. And she's a mom too of two beautiful daughters who are teens now. So, there's just something about her that makes me giggle, smile. We call each other randomly all the time. And it's as if we didn't miss a beat. She can sing, she can dance. She's got legs for days, and she's this little itty bitty thing, but man, can she entertain better than most of them. So without further ado, Andi's going to be joining us. Andi, are you there, my love?
I certainly am here. Hi, Christina.
Hello.
Hi, honey.
Hi, babe. This is the infamous Andi. Everyone,
Oh,
welcome.
hello, everybody.
Welcome to Reinventing Rumbly, inappropriately appropriate. And as I mentioned, this is my buddy, my ride or die, my
Oh,
partner in crime, Andi McCormack. How
oh,
you
I'm
doing, babe?
so great. I'm so great. The minute I see your face, I hear your voice, I'm like, you are the one friend who makes me snot out of my nose. And I'm married to a comedian, so that's saying a lot. So
You
I'm
are.
good.
You
I'm
are.
good. How are you doing? Look at this
Oh,
podcast. This is fun stuff.
thanks. Look, I've got I'm legit. I've got
Yep.
an actual microphone holder. We've got
Yep.
my Leanne Rhymes thingy, but then a little spa element over here,
Yeah, well, you've
trying to.
never done anything by half measures. Like you've always been above and beyond and, has to look stunning. Everything has to be perfection. Like that is you if you don't know that.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's something I
Mm,
work on often.
yeah.
Well, first of all, just thank you for being here. And secondly, I want to dig into all things Andi. And
Ooh.
we're going to talk about the past, where we came from together and how we did that and all the craziness of that. And then I want to hear all about your reinvention stage, right? This whole podcast came from my own personal experience recently with reinventing myself for the 100th time. And I
Right.
can't wait to have everybody listen to how you did that and what steps you took and how you're still doing it today. And then just all the good stuff you got going on in your life. So without further ado, shall we dig into a little
Let's dig, baby.
high
Let's
five?
dig.
Recently, I found on TikTok, I don't know how I fell into this hole, this little spiral hole of finding out we had someone show a video of us performing on The Late Show with Cynthia Garrett. We were singing Cinderella, right?
Yeah.
And so we're performing, or one of the shows, and he was talking about how shook he was because he thought Cinderella was from the Cheetah Girls.
Oh
And he
no, it was
couldn't
I-5.
believe when he looked into it and found out that
Yeah.
we were the first ones.
We were the OGs. They did a great job.
Yeah. Sure.
But there are lots of people out there that say the I-5 version of Cinderella is far stronger. So I,
Yeah.
I concur. I agree.
I concur.
I think we put it on the map. Yeah.
You know what people don't understand is that when we were on tour together,
hmm
you really truly kept me out of jail. And I say that because you kept me from killing the
The other
other
girls. Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because you knew that I was claustrophobic and I would never make it in prison
Yeah.
because
Yeah, no, you could have ended up in jail had it not been for me. So you're welcome, first of all.
yeah.
But yeah, those girls, 5 girls living on a tour bus. And more importantly, I think the stress was that they didn't always take things quite as serious as you and I. You and I had worked in the industry for years, and it felt like to me that, they were just happy-go-lucky artists. They were great artists, but maybe not as invested. They'd not invested all the years that you and I potentially had invested. So for me, and for you, I think it was, this record deal was the one thing that was going to leverage us to be able to live in mansions and get the butler that I'd always imagined, and this life that I'd been dedicating my soul to since I was 11 years old, going to professional performing arts school. So for me, it felt like, I had to save you from the perils of dysfunction with these other girls. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a joy though.
You kept me sane, and you also kept me invested in it, as you know,
Oh,
because we had a lot of those midnight, 2 a.m. talks, completely sober, talking about
completely sober.
completely. There was
Utterly, we'd
nothing
never do anything off the rails, ever.
ever.
Wah, wah.
But so no, but I remember you would talk me off the ledge on a lot of times where I was like,
Well, I'm very deep.
you're very deep. The depths of Miss Andy.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll get into that. But truly, I do want people to hear briefly your story. What got you to LA
yeah,
auditioning for that group?
yeah.
Tell me.
So in England, we grow up, and at 11 years of age, you can specialize and go to a vocational school, which is a little bit different from the States and I believe other parts of the world. So I knew very early on that I was going to go into the performing arts field. I actually, my path was I was going to be a choreographer. I was going to dance, and that was going to be my path. So at 11, I went to a very specialized school. Actually, it's Tring, Arts Educational School. It's where, Julie Andrews went, and Jane Seymour, there's
Who else?
Tandy
Who else?
Newton.
Who
Who else?
else
I
went
went
to your
there.
school? And then who else?
Who got? Oh no, that's my college. Oh, my
Oh,
gripe. And then I went to performing arts college. So yeah, so in England, you take examinations, you go to these boarding schools and everything. And then at my performing arts college was Victoria from the Spice Girls. She was Vicky Adams back then, and Vicky Adams and I used to get into it a little bit, when we were in school together. Because I feel a little bit like hurtful because I believe I was a little bit more cutthroat in my earlier days and I've mellowed over the years. Um, because back then oh, I'm so embarrassed to say this, but at the time I did not think she was very talented and I thought I was. So egotistical, I know. But I remember us getting into it, it was like the first week of performing arts college and we were in Epsom, Surrey. And, a lot of pressure. You're all trying to prove yourselves. And she said to me, it's not customary for first year students to stand in front of a second year student. And I said, well, you know what, love, being from Liverpool, you know what, love, we all pay the same fees. And the way I see it, if you're not talented, you better get behind me. So I feel like I owe her a massive apology because here she is with this massive, successful career, and I feel dreadful to this day. And I always think, oh God, if I see her, I'm definitely going to have to give her an apology. But yeah, so that was my path. I went to performing arts school for dance and for musical theatre. And then I danced all over the world. I danced USO tours, RAF tours. I did Christmas shows. I did voiceover for the BBC, Radio 4. I danced do you remember a band called Take That, a boy
Mhm.
band years ago? Okay, so I danced for Take That. I did the Brit Awards for them. Very minor dance supporting role, but did that. And then I went on cruise ships and I danced all around the world. But my dream was musical theater. That was my path. That was my trajectory. And I went back on a cruise ship, met my husband who was a comedian, and before you knew it, he was performing in Las Vegas. He was opening for like Celine Dion or somebody. Was it Celine Dion? I can't remember. It was at Caesars or Riviera or something. And I said, why are we moving back to Florida? Let's stay here. You can go to LA and be an actor, and I can audition for one of the shows in Vegas on the Strip. So he said, yeah, all right, let's do it. So literally, and when you have one of those moments in your life where you something bigger than you takes over, and in the pit of your stomach, you're rolling the dice, but you are on the precipice of making a huge decision, but nothing is telling you no, and you're 23 or whatever, and you don't feel any fear, and you don't feel that there's no is an opportunity. You just see opportunity. So that was it. We were in the parking lot in Vegas, and I said, that's it. Move our apartment. We're moving to Vegas. I'm going to be a showgirl. And the very next day, I went to visit the agents in Vegas and I sang over the phone for one of the agents. They said, I was a brunette, right? And I happened to be staying with my friend who was like ultra, ultra platinum, fabulous blonde. And they said they're looking for a blonde European. There's a pop group in LA with a producer, and they need one more girl. And my friend shouted, how blonde does she need to be? And she got the bottle of bleach out. We dyed me blonde. I went from brunette to blonde. I sang over the phone, and the producer cried, which probably cried in pain because we all know I'm not like the actual vocalist we imagined. Um, I'm still a very lucky dancer. And then I flew to LA to the audition, and I remember meeting you for the first time. We were in North Hollywood at a dance
Yep.
studio, a
Yep.
rehearsal space. It may have been Millennium. I don't think it was Millennium, but we were there. And I walked in, and you guys looked kind of like the Spice Girls. But I remember seeing the two choreographers and meeting them, and they were from England. And I locked eyes and I said to them, I am getting this. I am getting this. And I would have killed that poor Canadian girl for that role. I mean, there was no chance she was getting that job. I was getting the
I
job.
know.
And I
That's
remember
right.
you looked at me and you said, don't worry, I've got you. Do you remember that?
I do. I do.
Yeah, you were
Because
like,
I knew it.
I want you, I want you,
Yep.
and that's it. And I sang like a 1940s ballad jazz standard or something pathetic or musical theater or something, but there was one note like a discord in the note, and you were like, oh, you sold me. I want you, I want you. So
Yeah.
that was it. That was the
I
moment I met the
remember.
band, and
I remember that.
we weren't called I5 then, were we?
No, we were women of the world.
Wow. Which
Wow.
actually, in retrospect, would have been a really great name. Do
Probably,
you
but
think?
cheesy. A little. There's an element of cheese ball to it, but
It's all
we
right.
were
It
cheesy
was
a
it was
little with that.
Y2K. Cheese was great.
Yeah,
Cheese was favorable in
cheese.
Y2K.
Everybody wanted the cheese. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, so we get in, we're together, and we
Yeah.
had someone else that we replaced after a while. We won't
Oh.
talk about that one. That was sad, but
Oh.
we
Well,
got rid of
bands do that. Bands go
they
through
do.
rebirth and reshaping and kicking people out and bringing people in and
Absolutely. And
you know.
I think we didn't know what we didn't know what we didn't know. So it was like
Yeah.
we're throwing spaghetti to the wall, hoping it sticks. I just remember I knew Scott Carlson, who became our
Yep. The
manager.
manager. Yeah.
Yep. And I'd met him. I'd gone to lunch with him years prior because I was pounding the pavement and
Yeah.
waiting tables, and you were hosting. You're a
Yeah.
hostess.
Well, actually, I felt like I needed to be a hostess because you guys all had jobs, like normal people jobs. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I think I could do that. I wasn't good enough to waitress because I was the clumsiest person in the world. But yeah, yeah.
Bistro Garden.
Oh, yes, yes. And
Yes.
didn't we
They had
both
the
work at
best of
Lowry's, the prime rib? You, again, you were a proper server. I didn't quite make the cut to be a
Yeah, I think
proper server.
you did not did you host or
Hosting.
did you cocktail server?
No, I wasn't even that
Oh,
good because I would spill the drinks. I was terrible. I was hopeless. I think I quit on New Year's Eve because we were invited. Do you remember this? We were invited to Carol Burnett's daughter's house for a New Year's Eve party. And I was supposed to get off the shift at 9 o'clock. And I'm looking at my watch and it's 10 o'clock and they still haven't let me go. And I quit. That's the
oh
only
yeah.
job I've ever quit.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it
Yeah.
because, I remember when we got our record deal and I had to tell him, I have to go. But I gave him my 2 weeks, and because I've been
Oh,
there for years. But do you
you're
remember
so
we went
good.
to that party? Okay, so people may not know this, but we went. So we're in this group, right? And this is before we got our record deal when we were kind of being showcased a little bit at the time. Do you remember we were at a club and we used to go out every once in a while, all five of us looking hot, trying to be
Oh, we
recognized
were
as
cute.
something.
We were cute.
Ah,
Yeah,
we looked
we were
good. And
cute.
everyone stopped. Everybody thought we were somebody because we looked like the
Yeah,
Spice Girls. And people
yeah,
thought we were. Remember, we would go to Jerry's Deli
yeah.
off of over in Coldwater Canyon area in the hills,
Oh,
over in the
that was
Hollywood Hills area. And they had our
legendary
table.
chicken
They had
noodle
our
soup.
little table. They called us the
Yeah,
Spice Girls.
yeah. But you were about to say so Scott Carlson, just to remind you, was he managed Fleetwood Mac with Carl
Mhm.
Stubner, I think, and the Cult, and who
They
was the
had
country artist they had?
I don't remember the country artists. I remember they had
Kenny Chesney, was it, or someone like that?
no, they had I forget who they had there. Oh, they had House of Pain. The
No, yeah,
guy.
no, and remember Everlast from
Oh
how
yeah,
that
yeah,
what
yeah.
that was the one
That
from
guy, Everlast, that
Jump
dude.
Around. Yeah,
Yeah. Come
yeah.
touch
So
up and get that. Yeah,
yeah,
House of Pain dude, because he
such
was
a great
cool. He
song.
was a
Yeah,
cool dude.
yeah.
Yeah, so
He
basically
liked us.
he did, he did. So
Yeah.
basically for anyone that's watching this, we were part our management team did not know what the hell to do with 5 women pain in their ass. Remember,
But
we're
they
like,
wanted us.
they wanted
They were
us.
like, we're not, we know they're gonna make it, so they wouldn't let us go anywhere.
That's right. They wanted
Yeah,
us because they knew they had something that was like lightning in a bottle. And we knew
yeah.
that. We all knew that. And so we went around. Remember when we met
Jackson,
Randy Jackson, and
the
he was,
producer, the music producer. Yeah.
yep. And he at the time was working as an A&R rep at Universal. So this was before American Idol.
Do you
Oh
remember
my
how
God.
bad we offended him? Was it you or was it? It was
Oh, I'm
you.
sure.
I
What I
remember what
do.
you said. So
What
we're
did I
sat at
say?
a conference table. It's like the biggest conference table I've ever seen in my world. And his back was to the door, and on the back of the door was a poster of Aqua. Do you remember that? I'm a Barbie girl.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that
yeah,
song?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So Randy Jackson's got his back to the door with the poster of Aqua Girl, and you said something along the lines of, I mean, who would sign Aqua to a record deal? And he goes, that would be me. I gave them a one record deal. And we were like, oh. I think we've just blown our record deal
Foot
here.
and mouth
Yeah,
constantly. That was
yeah.
I would put my foot in my mouth because I was trying to relate, like, and
Oh
they're
my
like,
God, we had so many moments like that in I-5. But I think that was the charm of the group. I mean, those girls barely spoke fluent English.
right.
Tal was from Tel Aviv, Israel, and used to mix up all of her words and couldn't conjugate verbs. But it was charming. It was absolutely divine because she was this hottie patati, like fabulously wild sex pot. And Gabby with her Spanish, and
And
she was
tits,
just
just
her
tits for
boobs, her
days.
boobs were phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, and
And I
Kate was
mean,
just cute and sweet, like a little
yeah,
anime character, and then there was
yeah,
me and you who were just and I'm loud and the American and the kinda obnoxious,
you were
and
great.
Andy was cheeky, and
Ooh,
there's a video of
naughty,
you,
naughty.
our video where you're like, "We'll show you a really good time."
We'll give you a really, really good time. Oh, geez. And that sounded so provocative when we looked out. Like back on the video, I was like, oh,
You
so,
smack your ass because
oh,
that's who you were.
I
You
would do
were
whatever it took.
listen, there was plenty of taking it for the team, and we would do whatever
Yeah.
we needed to do, to that, whether it was shutting yourself up and off so that other people could shine, or if you're having to push forward uncomfortably, right? And
Hmm.
I remember for me, the hardest part for us, especially I think for me and you, because you were cut from similar cloth like me. And Tal's always been a performer, but you
Hmm.
and I had been pounding the pavement hard all our
Yeah.
lives. And I knew I was going to be a star. It was just a matter of where, when, and who and how.
No
And this
doubt.
was my ticket.
Absolutely no doubt, right?
Yeah,
We
this
never
was the ticket.
questioned it.
Never
Yeah.
question it. This was,
Yep.
and we all never question it, right? It was just like, yeah, we're pretty awesome. Let's
Well, it was
go.
like not if, it was how.
Yeah.
Not if, how. There was
Yeah.
never a question. It
Yeah.
was just how we going to get there, and we'll do whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that mindset, I think we realized that that's when we went up and sang at the Peninsula Hotel at 8 o'clock at night with Polly and frickin' Tommy
Polly
Mottola, and I'm
Anthony,
sitting on his
Tommy
lap, Polly
Mottola,
Anthony, and I'm
yes.
sitting on his lap singing Heart of My Heart, and we're trying to be cute and quaint, and they loved us, and and
Yeah.
remember Randy Jackson, when we sang for him, he offered us a demo deal, and we
Mm.
passed because we were like, we deserve more than a demo
We
deal because
wanted
they
the
wanted to.
record deal. I mean,
That's right.
people at that time were getting nice, big record deals, and we wanted the record deal. We wanted it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So our manager walked us into Giant Records, and they all wanted to jump on that gravy train of girl groups. Like, because it was a big deal, right? Girl
It
groups
was.
were the hot thing. Boy bands, big deal. So we go and we get in audition, I guess audition, if you will, for the record label. We sang to them and we got signed. And that was I have a hard time remembering. Do you remember when we found out we were gonna get signed or they accepted? Do you remember that? Because I don't.
I do. I do. I remember the moment that we got, unfortunately, I think we had felt the pressure. I think that we we had heard that P. Diddy was auditioning another band. We were supposed to have a meeting with P. Diddy like on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or something. And on Monday, we got word that he had signed a girl group. Were they called Dream?
Dream, yeah.
Dream. And we were then we knew we were in a mad dash. We were like, right, it's us against Dream. We need to roll. We need to go.
Yep,
And I believe we had meetings set up with every record label. They all wanted to meet with us. And we'd been offered Randy Jackson's deal, which again we didn't accept. We wanted the full album. We heard about P. Diddy, and then the Monday or something, we had Giant Records through Warner Brothers. And as soon as we walked in, we just accepted the deal. We were like, let's take it. I mean, I can't even remember
yeah,
what was our deal. Are we allowed to talk about the numbers? I can't remember. Was it
sure, yeah. Well,
500,000 or something at the time? I
it was a
can't
$1 million
remember.
record deal. We
Yeah.
didn't get $1 million. We
No.
got, remember?
We got tuppence.
I think we got like $14,000 each or something
We got a bag of
crazy.
sandwiches and a
We
Coca-Cola.
got makeup because we
Yeah.
went and got ourselves sponsors because we
Yeah.
knew we weren't going to get it through the record label.
Yeah.
They did the least they had to do with us. But I remember, do you know, this is crazy. What was his name? The producer that we went, and it was Michael Jackson's house. We went to one of his production houses and we met with that producer. Oh my gosh. Randy
Jerkins,
Jerkins.
Randy
Randy
Jerkins.
Jerkins?
He was producing. Yeah, he was
I think it's
producing
Randy.
Britney.
Yep,
Yeah.
Britney, and he was doing Michael Jackson's
Yeah.
Butterflies, I
Yeah.
think, and we got to go. I remember we picked up Tal from where she
Yeah.
was waiting tables. I got off that
Moustache
day.
Cafe on Melrose
Moustache
Avenue.
Cafe
Yeah.
on Melrose. I called Lowry's and said, "I have to do this." They said, "No
Yeah.
problem." And then Gabby was going to school, so she was done with that. And Kate, we just was a hired gun for us for a long time. Remember, we paid
I
her a
think she was
monthly
a singing server somewhere in LA. Yeah.
singing, yeah, somewhere,
Yeah.
probably Cheesecake Factory, who knows.
Yeah.
So
Something.
we
Yeah.
literally get in our Gabby had this like minivan and I would drive it all the time. And because Gabby couldn't drive, Tal couldn't drive, forget it. You and I were the only real drivers, and I was the more responsible driver of
I wasn't the best. It's not my forte.
yeah,
I
still
tap
might
dance a
not
whole
be.
lot better than I drive. Yeah.
So we go and we perform Rodney Jerkins, not
Rodney
Randy,
Jerkins.
Rodney Jerkins. That's
Yeah.
right. Before he got on
Yeah.
Ozempic or something because he lost a lot of weight. I mean,
Did
not,
he?
there's nothing wrong
And
with
was
that.
massively successful.
Very successful,
Hmm.
fantastic. And I just remember we murdered it. I mean, we killed it. And he wanted to sign us. And we were in this like, huh. And I remember Scott Carlson was like, he's working on Britney and he's working on Michael Jackson. He's not going to find time for you guys. And we were like, and you know how we
Big
met him?
mistake.
We were at a club. We went to the club on Sunset Boulevard and one of his people said, "Hey, are you guys somebody?" And we said, "Yeah, we are. What's with you? What's up?" "Yeah, we're somebody. You just don't know yet." "Okay." I
Yeah.
mean, we were thinking we were Beyonce and shit, or at least in
We
Vogue.
attracted that kind of attention everywhere the five of us went as a unit. We
Yeah,
attracted attention. It was crazy.
it was. And we had a great time with that. And I just know that we signed that record deal and the rest felt like such a blur because I remember now when I look at pictures, I mean, Andy, we got a television show written by Ira Ungulator, who, by the way, was in love with you. He loved
Oh, I
you.
love Ira.
Remember? I was so pissed that we did not get to see that happen.
I know.
And I
Just
mentioned it
mention though
before.
what he wrote. What he is the showrunner for Friends at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
He was
Yeah.
one of the writers
Yeah.
for Friends.
Yeah.
And he not only did he do Friends, he wrote the Jesse Show with Christina Applegate.
Yeah.
And
Who you and her didn't used to go up against her for roles.
not her. I went up against Deborah
Oh,
Messing a
that's
couple
right.
times
Yes.
because of Will and Grace when I auditioned
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
But dude, like I coming from LA, I never wanted to be a singer. I was always a singer, but I wanted to be an actress
Right.
or comedian. Like, so when we got this opportunity with a script that had my name on it, I remember
Hmm.
remember we were in the studio, we were at Guy Roche's studio. I was singing for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I just remember coming out and you guys being like, we got the script and Ira showed up. We have video of this and he's showing us and we're having to practice. And I remember you and I were like, ladies, you have to practice this because we knew they don't act. They're not actresses and they
To
can't
be
read
honest with you,
English as well.
nobody knew. Okay, so what's shocking to me is it was the rapid speed at which opportunities were coming to the five of us. We got we got the manager, we got the record deal. Literally a week later, we were meeting with ICM, William Morris, CAA, all the top agencies that would represent you in the world. We had basically a bidding war between all of these top agencies. And we went with ICM because I remember my husband he was a comedian and he was with ICM. And I remember you being like, this is my dream, you guys. But no, I mean, we got a TV show. They didn't even know if we could act. We got a holding deal for from Columbia TriStar Pictures, but they didn't even know yet that we could act. I mean,
No,
I
I
think you're a
know.
great actress, by the way. You and I since have been to acting seminars and things together, but you're a
Yep.
great actress. And I had trained. I don't know how great I am, but I had trained.
Oh, you
The
were
other
great.
the other girls couldn't string a sentence together. I mean, I love them to bits. I'm
Of
not
course.
undermining them, but the reality of it was we got offered this TV deal and they couldn't act, Christina.
And you know what was crazy, Andy? You remember this? How pissed off I was that I was like the least written in the script.
Yeah,
And I went, I've been acting out in LA for years. Like I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like,
yeah,
and I remember being like, I was like the fit girl who was, they wanted me to be like Sporty Spice. I was like, hold on. Andy and I are the ones who speak English and can read
yeah,
English and know how to act. And I
yeah.
remember I remember the table read, and it was like you and I looked at each other. We walked out of there, and I remember us being like, "This is over.
Yeah,
It's
it was
over."
the worst feeling in my life. And do you remember what happened? So we had a record deal. I five the band. We, started to get producers in line. But then all of a sudden the TV deal became bigger than the record deal at one point. And then I remember them saying, we'll keep you two, we'll keep Andy and Christina, but let's recast the other girls, the other three girls. So we were like, no, we're a band. We're not actually,
Yeah,
looking to get the TV deal. We're a band that happened to get a TV deal. Yeah, so it was
100%.
very, very interesting. The pace at which things happened. I mean, do you remember being in the room with Tom Hanks and Gary Getzman at Playtone?
Yep, Playtone
You
Records.
know,
That was one of the
they
ones we were shopping. Yeah.
they wanted to give us a record deal because we were going to be their first artist or whatever. And stupidly, again, we were eager. We were so eager to just get it done and get signed that
Yeah.
we jumped. I think we were too hasty. We were too hasty.
Yeah.
If
You're
we could
right.
do it all over,
Yeah, if we could play the role back and go, what could we have done better? Obviously, we could have gotten a label that was behind us that gave us a music video, because
yeah,
without that, TRL, I mean, if you didn't have a music video, you were
yeah,
dead.
that was a
And
big
so
mistake.
that was a big fat one
And
that we both
that
took
I
a fat.
believe was Irving Azoff's label, and he represented Christina Aguilera also. And I
Yep.
think that venture for him, I don't know because I don't really keep up on the entertainment industry as much these days, but from what I understand, they just didn't want to be a label. And we were such an expensive project, it would have required somebody to purchase that investment that they had made. And I think that we were too expensive. I
Yep.
think, by then they all had their own girl bands. But hey, I don't really recall the others doing that well either. So, you
Correct,
know,
correct. I mean, there was one. I mean, a couple of them broke through and
yeah,
and kept Cheetah Girls, obviously, but they had a show. And I think for us, it was just we were having to hit it. We were a little behind the 8 ball timing wise. We got together
hmm
98, 99, and in 2000 it was on. Like, and if
yeah,
that was our run, it was 99 to 2000. And so I think what was really exciting, if we think about it, remember when we first were on the tour bus? Well, first we were in a van for a long time, right? And then we fought for a tour bus. We get a tour bus and we fought to have a makeup artist because we're like, all we have is this.
yeah,
The boy bands would be getting a per diem to go to strip clubs and we got nothing. And then finally,
yeah,
remember, I'm like, oh, we're going to go to a spa and we're
yeah.
going to
We
get
want
this.
steak. We want steak in a spa.
We're not eating Wendy's and McDonald's every day. But I remember we would go around to the radio stations and having to kiss the
Yeah.
butts of all the A&R reps and all the radio disc jockeys and just and they just sopped us up with a biscuit. Do you know what I mean? Because we were
Well, we gave so much material. I think we were interesting in the interview rooms. We had energy. There was a ton. There was accents. There was a lot going on. We were good in the
there
room.
was. And you
Yeah,
know
it
what
was
I
great.
found interesting is everybody had their favorite. Like people would
Yeah.
cling to each of us in different capacities. And I think
You are
that's
my
really
favorite, the
you were
American.
mine.
You are
You were
mine.
always my
You're still
favorite.
mine.
We love each other
Yeah.
because we went through, I mean, we're kind of, I would say, dreamers together, but we
Yeah.
also were each other's right and left arm on that because you and I, we did. Tal was I would say a close second in that together with each other
Yeah.
because she really, really was a performer.
I
Gabby was just
loved performing with her.
amazing.
Well, for me, my perspective was when I heard you and Tao sing, I said, oh my God, these girls can really, really sing. And I would be honored to stand next to them on a stage. And I thought Gabby was just so hot and sexy and gorgeous and would open a lot of doors for us. Um, and she was so great with all of her salsa dancing, and I really respected that. And then I thought Kate, was from Manila, Philippines, and and she was just this cute other little cuteness that I thought would really get us some hype and attention. And just the other girls, I loved performing on stage. That was my favorite part of being an I-5.
How you guys doing tonight?
And Tal was unpredictable. She would do you remember she would climb the scaffolding and dive into the audience, and
Yeah.
she was wild on stage.
She was
So
crazy.
fun,
She would
so
fling
fun.
her head like it was a heavy metal song, and we're like, it's a pop song, right? It's bubblegum pop. And went pop, pop. And she would, but I have such good videos of us performing, that we've gotten to look at together. And it's just so exciting to see. And this was before cell phones, everybody. So understand, thank God, because
Yeah, ooh,
that would be a whole nother. All right. But okay, so we get we have all this going on. We're touring. We're hearing our song on the radio for the first
oh,
time. We were
that
on the
moment
bus,
was special.
LFO. We're riding the bus, and we hear our song. We were getting ready to go to the House of Blues and perform in the theater, and we hear our song Distracted. And they're like, the girls of I-5 are in town, and they'll be performing. And they start playing Distracted. And we were like, I have goosebumps right now. We were like,
Yeah.
oh my God. We
That
couldn't
is a
believe it.
profound feeling. It for me as an artist, that was one of the most exciting times. It was hearing us on the radio. It was the first time you hear yourself. It's surreal. And to have girls screaming your lyrics, singing, looking at you and singing the lyrics to your song, that feeling is, it's sort of right up there with having kids. In
Yeah.
retrospect, it's,
Yeah.
I guess I am an attention whore when it really comes down to it, because I love that feeling of a spotlight. I love being on stage and not being able to see everything and feeling the light of a spotlight.
Mm.
So Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard.
So
So
it's so fussy
find
of
the
you.
light, find the light. Yes,
Find the light, darling. Which side? But I will
yes,
say that the reason also that being on tour was even, I guess the word enjoyable, because it was ups and downs. It's
yeah. It's
exhausting.
hard.
It's very hard. It's a hard life. And it sounds like we would go 23 and a half hours just to perform for 30 minutes. Like your whole life
Yeah.
was for 30 minutes.
I
And
think
then,
that's it. As the opening act, you schlep a lot. You have these glorious moments where you're adored by fans, but then what they don't see is the other side,
right, right. And
you
for us,
know?
the other side was going to the radio stations,
We're I5, and we can't wait to meet you.
turning it on, having to turn it off, and then also managing four other relationships and having to navigate personalities and food choices, fucking favorite colors.
Oh my God, that was a thing. Yeah. I mean,
You
I
remember
was
that?
26, 27, pretending to be 22.
Yeah.
And we would have arguments about, like, blue is my color. I was never, well, you were never allowed to, you and I weren't allowed to wear certain things, remember? You and I
Pink. I
weren't
couldn't wear
allowed
pink
to wear pink, and we weren't
because that
allowed
was
to ever
Gabby's.
show any of our figure because we didn't have stomach surgery, and we didn't,
Well, Gabby told us flat out. I have a
yeah.
video of Gabby going, well, you're fat. And she was Spanish
And we
and she has
weren't. We
autism,
weren't
which,
fat. When you
no,
look back, we were tiny.
I was the best shape of my
Yes,
life.
you were chiseled. Your arms were fierce.
Oh,
Like, you were
I was on
gorgeous.
stage like
Still are.
this, and I was like, "Yes, I look amazing." And
You
Gabby's
still
like,
got
"But
those
those,
arms, girl.
no,
Come
I
on.
got
Give me
them.
those.
I'm
Let me see
working on
those
it
arms.
a little bit,
Get
but
it.
they're
Get
very
it.
white. They're very
So good.
albino still. I got
So
the
good.
tricep; it's peeking around the corner. But
So good.
Gabby, I have it on camera, and me going like this. This is me on camera saying to her, "What'd you say?" And that's
Mm.
that's when Andy would pop in and be able to go, okay, so we're gonna just go because she knows. Andy
Yeah.
knew that I had a very short fuse because I had also had to, corral a lot of everybody. I
Well, didn't
was
you have a brother that was in the army as well? Like
still, well, not in the army
yes,
anymore. Oh
right.
yeah, no, and
So,
and
and your
I grew up
dad
with
was a
that.
police chief, and that you were no messing around.
Yep.
You had standards, and you were brought up a certain way, and you know, you were always strong to stay on that path. You told people what you thought.
Get up! Get up!
Yeah.
You told, you know, so I was always trying to buffer you.
She was.
So what
She
she
would have-
actually means is,
So she didn't mean to say go fuck yourself. She really meant go have a nice Triscuit or something
let
inside.
me
I'm like,
rephrase
no.
that for you. Yeah.
Behind it, I'm like this. Like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," because
But
I
they were
knew.
infuriating.
Oh, it made me crazy because what would happen? Someone would lose their passport. Someone would misplace their ID. Gabby forgot her laptop in the back of a New York cab. Oh, well, you know, and I would lose my mind
You would
because
lose your
I'm just
cookies a
anal.
little bit, yeah.
Oh, she would drive me nuts.
You
But
know. Do you wonder
we
how
love,
they are now in grown-up life? Like, how did they survive without us in their grown-up lives? I
I
think they
don't
did
know.
great. I think they did great, but
Yeah, they're
you
doing
know,
great now.
was
I
there a
don't know.
period in their lives where they used to think, "Oh, I wish I had Christina here or Andy here to like get me through this minute, you know, help me find my
Doubtful.
passport, you know."
Doubtful. I bet Gabby's probably like, oh, thank God. Ay, Dios mío, ¿qué es eso, coño, this bitch? You know, and Tal. I learned so much about
I know.
myself and about, I learned, you know what I learned? And I learned this a lot from you, from talking to you, you talking me off the ledge sometimes. I'll just never forget we're on a plane, we're laying next to each other,
In
curled
first
up,
class.
we're talking to each other, like laying like this face to face. And I'm just like, I hate it. I hate them. I want to kill them. And you were like, but you can't because we need you. And I'm like, I hate them. I literally want to
They were
strangle them in my sleep. They were pretty mean to me. They were
they
pretty
were
awful.
pretty rough.
Christina, did you poo?
No.
Christina, just before every show, she needs to poo. I don't know what is that with.
They were rougher than
We love them
toast.
now. We're good
Yeah.
now. Everybody's good now. But it
Yeah, but
took 20
you know,
years.
I wonder what that was. When, you know, you have to, I just wonder whether that was immaturity, lack of respect, or work ethic. We both saw it as a lack of work ethic and
Yeah.
immaturity. But I wonder if that's what it really was. I don't know. I think I've probably not been able to do, to be honest with you, a deep dive. I think I had to isolate what happened to us in I-5 in order to carry on with the rest of my life. There's probably a lot of stuff I haven't dealt with emotionally that
Yeah,
I did not. Did you do that too? Did you block off feelings?
I did.
Because,
I think you're right.
yeah,
I blocked off a lot. And what's crazy is for me, I jumped immediately into solo artists. Remember,
yeah.
took you up to that hiking trail we always went on together because we
Laurel
worked out
Canyon.
and we
Yeah.
went to the canyon. And I told
By
you
the way,
that
we
I was
used to
leaving.
jog that. That's how fit
Oh
we were.
God.
We used to run up that hill.
I couldn't even look at it now. I'd be like this, never, not doing it. I may look thin, but there's no muscle left. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's the other side of that. But I remember taking you up there. I was so nervous. I was so sad, but I knew I had made the
yeah.
decision. I was done. And
I
that's because
hated that
our
day.
record label left, you know, we were done and it was like, where are we going to go? And I just was like, I can't do that. I can't. And that's when I remember you were just like, God dang it. And then we went and talked to the girls and I told them at the Jerry's Deli. I'll never forget that. And it was such a hard
That you were
conversation, but
leaving, that you were
I was
leaving the
gone.
band. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So much good stuff. Too many great stories. We can't just end this here. All right. So we're going to time it out. We're going to end this one, part one, but then we're going to bring you part two. So stay tuned because next week you're going to get to see the rest of this fun adventure of Andi and I together. So be sure to subscribe and also make sure you email us because we'd love to hear from you. And that's at reinventingrumbly@gmail.com. And don't forget, we're always reinventing. So let's reinvent together. So pull up a chair and or a cocktail, whatever's your fancy, and let's reinvent together on this windy road of life.